And good evening, late evening, Dave in the AM, aka the Cornbread Man, for your MAGA report. Well, we've been busy all day, and I mean all day. My day started, about 4 o'clock, a little after, and I've been at elections until just a little while ago. Matter of fact, I just got home just before 10, and I had a quick bite and came on. So, too much going on not to. Want to be on for a little bit. We have early morning shows, but been monitoring the situation, which I'm sure many of you have, that's going on in the Middle East. This is very um, incredible. It's incredible. And it's alarming, and it's one of those things. Like I said, where the wheels are turning and the war drums are beating, and it's on. It's not going. I don't see any way it stops right now. Everything's in place. Everything's in motion. It's very odd how this has played out. Odd that in something has changed. Information flow, communication, whatever. I'm sure you've been listening to other podcasters and news and whatever, but just looking at it from a 60,000 foot level, so to speak, this thing has changed really quickly. From we're not involved, talk to Israel, we want a deal, to leaving G7, B-52s, other aircraft being put in motion, multiple ships in the region, and I mean a lot. We got enough there to knock out about anybody we want to, and ultimatums being given to Tehran and to the Ayatollah, and what's going to happen. And this thing is moving very rapidly, very quickly, and so some are going to say we got to do it, and some are going to say this is ridiculous. Why are we involved here? And so I, I get all sides of it. I do. For the Israelis' part, they've always said they would never allow their enemy to get um, the ability to destroy them with nuclear weapons. They knocked out Iraq's nuclear power plant many decades ago. And this one, I'm surprised it took so long. It was probably a pressure being applied by the Americans why it took this long. But my question I always had is how long before they have the bomb, meaning Iran? How long before they have the bomb? Way back, even when Obama was president, there was talk about in 3 months, 6 months, 10 months. It seemed like nobody really knew. They just kept talking about they were getting closer and closer. Well, there are some experts today, and the news came out today, that they believe they have enough fuel enriched for 4 bombs. Some at 20% grade level, one at 60% grade level. Obviously, that's a mass destruction weapon. Uh, and so, what intel come in? What intelligence came into the president that caused him to flip the script, and I mean flip it so quick that he flew out of there, and things have been put in motion. And probably we know that the Iranians have made threats to U.S. personnel and or bases in the region, much less USA proper, but certainly bases and other places where the U.S. Where Americans might be, or U.S. Military personnel. And yeah, they're whacked. I mean, the leadership is they'll do about anything. Um, but this thing escalated really really fast, so it tells me that the threat is real. The threat is real, and some are going to disagree with that and say it was just we knew all along. I mean, there's going to be a lot of questions about this. There is a lot of questions. What did we know, and when did we know it? And in my show a few days ago is we're involved. Are we involved? And it was yes, we're involved, but to how much? Well, we're neck deep right now, and we're fixing to jump in all the way. So here's the scuttle that we're reading. The question has always been: could Israel knock out the nuclear sites on their own? Do they have the ability to do that without American help? Well, some generals are suggesting that the Iranians have spoken to it, that the Americans have the bunker busters that can, and the follow up ordinance behind it to get it done to the degree that it would be put in a place that would be non-usable for a heck of a long time. And because the Iranians are making threats, if anyone helps Israel, it's on like Donkey Kong, so to speak. And so, there's, they wouldn't let them hit. I mean, how the thing flipped. We went from where they could hit the leader, he said no, then to he's making posts that Tehran needs to evacuate now, and to where well, he's safe for now. We know where he's at. It'd be an easy target. He's safe for now. We won't take him out yet. To all the different orders being given to our military planes and or ships for intelligence backup, maybe even bombing runs themselves. Who knows? Or we might let the Israelis do it. So we're at war. I mean, basically, we are at war without being declared. We're in neck deep, and it seems if something doesn't happen quick, we're going to be right in the middle of this thing, and I feel like we are. So, crazy news all day long. The air is controlled by the Israelis. Everything's been knocked out that needs to be knocked out. They don't get the skies are controlled. They've been taken out of obviously all the defensive mechanisms they have to hit the planes. Now they've been knocking out command and control. They've already knocked this, not the head of the snake, but a lot of little heads underneath that. I mean, every time a general steps up, he's killed. To hitting their television station, the ability to, alert people. And now they're saying, Iranians are saying some people need to get out. So, and some people are frustrated there because they don't know how to get out. It's like, it's not easy to get out. So that's where we're at. What an amazing place to be on this, on this June 17th, and how quickly this escalated from, an operation Israel's involved with, that even the president says, we didn't do it. Let's talk. Let's negotiate. To the president now saying, well, you had your chance. I mean, you had your chance to make a deal. But now saying Iran cannot be allowed to have any kind of nuclear ability, even for electricity. This is how quickly it's changed. So where did the intel come from? Was it Mossad? Probably. What changed? What credible threats did they hear that he's jumped on board with both feet and said, by gosh, it's on, let's do it? And that's the question. Where did this come from, and how credible was it? And and some are calling for it, like, let's do it while we're there, let's just get it done. But there's issues with that. I mean, I don't think anybody's going to cry over the leadership of Iran, or some people would. Obviously, we've got people that come in. Hello, Coors Light connoisseur. Howdy to you. I am tired but fired up and energized. Of course, you work late. I don't know if you work all night or just partway through the night, because you do a lot of towing at night. I just put in a 15-hour election day, well, 16 counting travel time, I guess you could say. And but I said, by gosh, I'm going online. I want to hear from some folks. I'd like to hear from you what you're thinking about this, and because there's going to be a lot of opinions about this, but it just went so fast to where people are saying, we're not involved. 24-hour shift today. Bless your heart. You know what? You win the medal. I'm not doing that much, although I will be back in the show early. Hello, Mike. How you doing, buddy? So this thing is, we're getting the refueling set up. The B-52s are ready to rock and roll. The ships are in the area, and it's a massive amount of ships that are in the area. I mean, when you see the map of just how many ships are in the region and are making steps to move closer, it's really incredible. You've got about 10 or 12, 10 looks like. You got the Sullivans, USS Burke, the Thomas Hudner, the Sherman, Forrest Sherman, the Truxton, the Princeton, the Carl Vinson, the Sterett, the Meyer, excuse me, it was off screen, Meyer. All these are already there. That's not counting anything that might move up and move closer. Yeah, it was bound to happen. And we kind of said that, but how quickly this thing took off for where we were, negotiating, to now it's full on just rocking the Iranians. And now, saying we can kill you when we want to kill you if we choose to you're not getting nuclear weapons. And people calling for, and some retired generals are saying, do it. I mean, but there are threats. I mean, there are threats to military bases. It could even be a threat. On the outside, I say the U.S., East Coast or whatever. But who knows? I mean, we've known the Shahabs that they got them better longer. This has been known for some time, but they certainly could hit Israel. And they've talked about it. I mean, this came out. Of course, sometimes they talk big game like the Houthis or those in Yemen or wherever, and it's empty. But the Iranians are a little bit different because they have actually been in weapons production for some time, a long, long time, and they have had the resources and the money to do what they saw they needed to do to become that power on the block. Pardon me. And so, state sponsor of terrorism. Somebody, you see these articles where people said, Iran still so many years on, not attacked any country. Well, no, they didn't fly sorties over a nation, but they have certainly been involved with state sponsor of terrorism in and around Israel for decades, and millions and millions and millions of different kinds of weapons that they have funneled in and or money to keep their terrorism alive, especially Hezbollah, but Hamas, others that they have supplied. And you go all the way back to 1980 and the embassy situation and how ugly that was. From there on, it's just been they've just done all they can to bring hell to the earth. If Trump sends them to bomb, he will do enough not to make them just mad. Well, that's true. Here's the question: are the Americans going to do it, or the Israelis going to do it? But with using our stuff, I mean, I don't know. But if you're putting B-52s in the air, it sounds like we're fixing a rocket. No pun intended. I mean, we're fixing to unload in conjunction. So this next, 24 to 72 hours critical. They've got them. They're just mopping up. I mean, there's nothing that they can do to stop them. But do we anger the Russians? That's their partner in crime. Of course, the Chinese, but the Russians have been making have business deals and or military deals with the Iranians for a long time. Iran's been building, drones and other aerial top vehicles to send into Ukraine. It's very the profit off of war for them both has been a lot. And so the region. I'll say it. I don't think there's any nation in the Arab region that really. They probably are glad that this is happening to them. They just aren't going to say it publicly because Iran has threatened everybody pretty much. I mean, they want they're terror agents. And so high alert for everybody who's an American in and around the region, high alert for our military. And this area is going to intensify really quickly. I mean, right now, I mean, this full-on bombing runs are continuing. I mean, at one point, there had been 50 straight hours of bombings by the Israelis in Iran, 50 straight hours. So there's no rest for them. They, the people from the ground are talking about how they're just having to stay in their bunkers that everybody has in the region, it seems like, because it just was continual. So, huge disruption there, making the leadership look weak. A lot of the leadership is dead, absolutely dead. They've killed them. The latest one was a replacement general. He's dead. And now they're talking about knocking out, you better stay put and behave. And it's kind of like, we'll let you know later whether you're going to live or not. But we can take you out whenever we want to. Young men are concerned right now in America, I'm sure. I've been there when I was in boot camp. We went to a small war at the time. We didn't even know. I'll be honest, I didn't even know where it was at. And they come in and telling you that the United States is in military operations against someone. I'll never forget what that felt like. I mean, you're just thinking, wow, are we going to get rushed up in our training and be sent in? I mean, nobody in the room would tell you much. And this is we weren't allowed to hear news at the time, so it was like, wow. And I thought about my parents. What were they thinking? I couldn't even talk to them at that point. We were on a communication lockdown. And what did that mean? So young men in America are thinking, what does this mean? Is this something where I could get drafted if things go, bad? Probably not to this point, but I've said, that if they're getting those recruiting numbers back up, but if things went really bad, yeah, draft would come in. I think that's on the outside right now. It'd have to be something really bad. But my God, you're in the Middle East. I mean, things can go bad. So yeah, it's an ugly thing. They can't do anything about it now without their proxies doing stuff. That's why they were asking for me with Trump. Yeah, it is too late. I get it. They had I get that, and yeah, and it's what he said. I mean, you had your chance, and you didn't want to do it. And yeah, they've been going to others and saying, "Hey, help us make a deal." Deals off the table. Jews versus Muslims, two religions, been battling out forever. Israel been saying Iran weeks away from producing a weapon. And people have said that. And that's why I said just a minute ago, it might have been just before you came in, I've asked that same question. How, I get it. If you tell me, because Bibi Netanyahu stood before Congress and said, they're months away, but that's been a few years now. And I know they did some damage with the, they attacked, the cyber attack was very damaging to a lot of their systems. And, Natanz and the others, I didn't know there were four. But, the Fordham or Fordow or whatever it's called is the deepest one, they say. And it's going to take even heavier weaponry than the Israelis have to get it done. Yes. And we were talking about this today in elections while we were dead as a doornail many times today. You still do everything you got to do, but, it's just a long day. And that's what it was for Public Service Commissioner. But we were talking about how easy it would be to cause disruption in the United States. You don't have to invade. You're already here. And it doesn't take much to cause mass chaos. You very simply, and I mean, it's no secret. I'm not saying anything. You attack water or power. I mean, that's simple. And we've talked about that on these programs a lot, how quickly that could turn into a lot of trouble. Or just, if you had a series of homicide bombers that are going off, and hitting places in America, it would cause the American public to, I mean, just think of the fear that would strike. I mean, you just don't know. And we got people here that are up to no good. We don't even know who they are. We don't know where they are. I'm sure we have intel on some things they're watching, but they don't know where all these people were. They had no tracking mechanism for people coming over the border. And there were Iranians that came over the border and Chinese, among many other. We have 14,000 plus cargoes. Well, yeah, we do. I'm not worried about their, at this point, they're probably running low on missiles. I mean, they didn't have an endless supply. And Israel has been taking out those places where they were making them. Let me say this. I've always said, people can like Israel or not. Best intelligence on the face of the planet. Best. They knew where these people were. They knew how to get them in one place. They have outflanked everything the Iranians have tried to do. Outflanked them. It's been a clean cut. Boom, we got you. And it still goes on. And they're like they're running in circles. Now they're making threats, but it's empty. I mean, there's just nothing there. So the bomb, if they could get it, I mean, that would be, because and then the person says surrender. That's what got me today. We went from we're not involved, let's have a deal, to we're not involved, Israel's doing that, till we knew that we were helping knock down missiles and running intelligence and probably jamming frequencies and stuff, along with the Jordanians and others, because they hate Iran, to now the president leaves the G7, the B-52s are supposedly, firing up, refueling planes for the longer bombing runs are in motion, ships are moving closer, and the president says, we know where you're at, we could kill you, we're not going to yet, and surrender. It's such an incredible sequence of events that happen in a very short amount of time. Surrender. Wow. I mean, that was what got me. I was like, I don't see them doing it. They're just not geared that way. And so when you back that snake in the corner, if they don't have the other stuff, what do they got left? Could they get off a shot that they've got enough for 4 bombs, according to military experts? 3, 20% grade, one at 60%. Do they get one off, and does it by some fluke get through? And where does it go? There's a lot of things they could do with that if they're able to get it off. And I think that people say, they got nothing. Look at what they're doing. Look at what we're doing and putting in motion very quickly. And look at the president leaving. And one of the things he said about leaving the G7 was he didn't trust the phones. It wasn't secure enough for him to be in the room with his people. This is, you know what he's talking about? The war room. This is not just hearing intel. This is not just a meeting of the Joint Chiefs. This is not just, the briefing. The president gets a briefing every day about perceived or credible threats around the world to our allies, to us, our, resources. This was him saying, I need to be in the room with my people, and it needs to be secure. This is a war room. It's just absolutely amazing. Yeah, they have nuclear stuff inside the underground bunker, sure. And that's what they're trying to get to. Coors like connoisseur. I don't want us getting involved. My kids are all military age now. I don't want my kids dying in a war we should be a part of, as the U.S. has a history of fighting stupid wars. And I understand that. And that's why I said there are people that have the same concern. What does this mean for my kids? And why are we involved with it? It's, we go from, we're not going to, we're going to get out of these wars. And let's be fair, this is not a knock. This is just a fact. There are people that said, I voted for this president for many things. And one of them is that he gets us out of war. We don't want to be in between Ukraine and Russia. If you can end it, fine, but get out. Now this thing has jumped up to the top of the table. It's made Russia, Ukraine look small potatoes now, which it's not. And I want to get to that, Michael. I see your other post. Now we get to, we're in war footing. I mean, we're moving a lot of resources in the area. I mean, this is massive buildup, and it's happening very quickly. So, like I said, when the war drums start, they start beating the war drums, but something triggered it. I'm telling you, people that said this was a plan all along, I don't believe that. I think something happened. I think intel was shared, and it was credible. And it was enough to put fear in the room. And they said, we got to hit, and we got to hit now. And we don't let up until this regime is gone. And we have knocked the crap out of everything that they could even have a hope to attack people with. That's how serious it is. It's probably the 4. Okay, they've got enough for 4. But is there something else going on? But that's enough. They're fanatical. The leadership is. They vowed to destroy Israel. Or some other nation. There's a lot of things they could do. Again, a lucky shot with a. Can you imagine the impact, even at 20%? That don't sound like you think 20%, but we're talking about freaking nuclear weapons. A 20% grade nuclear weapon being dropped anywhere in the Middle East would be freaking devastating across so many nations. And I guarantee you the Arabs are concerned about it. I guarantee the Saudis are worried about it. I guarantee the Jordanians are worried about it. The Kuwaitis are worried about it. Qatar's worried about it. There's a bunch of nations over there that's worked with us. Yeah, they're not 100% true blue friends, but they're a little more moderate, and we've been able to work with them. And they've put a lot of money in politicians' pockets over the years. But there's something that has really just pushed this thing into overdrive. And we could theorize, we can guess, we can say it's about those, but I've never seen the president move like that. This president, never. It just seemed like all of a sudden, it's like you're somewhere and somebody gets a call. Next thing you know, they don't even say nothing. They run out, they jump in the car, and they screech off down the road. And you found out later there was an emergency they had to go take care of. It was such an emergency, they didn't even take time to tell you what it was. It almost felt like that. It was like, oh, we're out. We're getting out. And you always, presidents like to project, calmness, coolness. We got it under control. It's okay. They're keeping me informed. We're here. We're having some wine. We're having some nice conversations with all the, the G6ers besides us, the 7th. And, we're making business. He'd already made a business deal. He had a business deal in hand. Things were seeming to progress, They were almost at the dessert stage of things going on at the G7. And then, boom, he is up and out, and everything just escalated really quick. Like I said, Israel showed their intelligence with the beepers, yes, but the beepers was phase one. But then they were able to know how to get all those military leaders and scientists in one place. I'm telling you, they it's like they're, well, I'll tell you what it is. I believe they've got a way, and this has been talked about. I don't hear anybody talk about it much anymore. Us have the ability to listen into conversations anywhere in the world. Yeah, people are trying to jam those things. This is why Russia, this is why Putin went back to pencil and paper with his staff. He forbade his inner circle from using computers because he said it could be hacked, and he didn't want. It wasn't just the hacking; it's the listening. They brought notes. I mean, they've went back, decades, a lot of decades to pencil and paper in his inner style. And you can say, well, he's paranoid. Well, I think he just knows. The ability of us to really listen, to see everything that they're the computer, topping, sending things out, even cracking the codes if it's coded, whatever. But also the listening ability that we have. The Europeans have not been happy about this for a long time, but we've had that ability to do that, and I'm sure the Israelis have an ability to do that. Who knows? They probably invented it. I'm not versed on it, but I know we've had it for a long time. Yeah, hey man, yeah, I won't be here too long. I just wanted to come on, and I'm gonna be on early in the morning. I mean early, so I gotta get some rest. But you have a blessed night too. It's been a good day, long day. I was away from my family a lot. And, I wasn't three streets over from my house, but you're basically locked at your post until it's done. So, but good, God bless you. Yeah, and you got to go. Sheriff's call. Yeah, have a good night, brother. Thanks for checking in with the Cornbread Man. Y'all get some rest. Don't work too hard. That 24 hours. I can imagine the 24-hour shift. Oh my gosh. I think 12 hours, 13 hours is a lot. Today was, 15. I wasn't working real hard, but it still works. A lot of mental. Just being in that place, it's not very comfortable. And you're talking about it's not like sitting in your easy chair. I mean, you got things you're doing. And paperwork it gives you a headache. It's laid out well, but there's so much that you'd have to do that. So we're honored to do it, though. You can see my Georgia voted sticker. Turnout was very low, very, very low. I'm sure across the state. I'll have to go online and look at them tomorrow. I'm not going to look tonight. But here we are. We're at, DEFCON levels are changing. It seems like overnight. They've not made an official change. That's what it feels like, though. I don't think they have. But we're ready to go. And we may wake up in the morning. They're ahead of us over there. Be evening time. We may, in the middle of the night, you better. It's one of those deals. If you're like my age, you got to get up and go to the restroom at least once through the night. Might want to check the phone. Just see what's happening as it gets deeper into the night after midnight, and see what the news is for the next 3 days, because this is things. The wheels are in motion, and I don't think it's going to turn around. I wouldn't say that. Joe Neal, hey, thanks for Trump will fix it. Well, it sounds like he's putting the fix in right now. We're going to bomb the crap out of them, and let's pray for. Thanks for checking in, Joe. Let's pray for our soldiers. I mean, that's somebody's sons that are over there on all those ships, manning the planes. Who knows? We may be doing bombing runs here soon. Really heavy bombing runs, B-52 type bombing runs with heavy duty stuff. I mean, talk about shock and awe. Back when we hit Iraq, the shock and awe may be coming over Iran. It's already been some shock and awe by the Israelis. But we got military personnel over there. We got bases in the region. We've got diplomats, embassy personnel, civilian contractors, workers that are in the region all over that place. I mean, just about every country over there, with the exception of Iran and maybe one other. We have all these, and so there's a lot of our boys and girls that are over there, and pray for them, because you could have somebody that's not happy that this is going on and targets Americans. So Americans have to be really careful. Why is funding for VA being cut, though? I don't have all the answers. I'm never for funding cuts to the VA. I say take care of our boys and girls in uniform. In fact, I think it should be a lot better than what we've ever done myself. There's some things I'd like to see changed about that, especially those who have suffered injury and stuff. Now it's gotten better. I was talking to a vet today, and he's in his 70s, and he told me that we've heard the horror stories about the VA. He said it's a lot better, a lot better. And I've talked to some other vets that's told me the same thing. There are some still VAs out there that they're not up to the standard that I'd like to see, but the ones in our area, and I've heard this from different ones, they said are doing great. So, but yeah, I don't want to see the funding cut for that. So. Like I said, a lot of sides look at it. Why are we there? I mean, it's people. People are gonna be upset about this. Why are we in this? Is it because we're the ones that can get it done? We're the only ones that'll do it? Is it this? You got the people that it's the Jewish people that are controlling America. Is a Mossad operation? Who knows? People theorize. Some people think they got it all figured out. But as soon as they do it, their theories kind of blow up in their face in different ways. What we can look at is facts. And facts are that the president is moving very quickly right now. And again, I don't care right now if you're for him or against him. That's not the point of this. The point is, as an American, we're along for the ride. And, there's people that believe that. Thanks for checking in. There's people, many people believe that. And I'm not saying it's not true. I don't know that, but there are people that believe that, and you'll hear this from different podcasts. But the facts are that we are involved in a big time operation that a week ago we were claiming we didn't have anything to do with it. Like we didn't do it. To now, it could change, but right now it looks like we're way deep into it. In fact, we could be taking the lead. And the president's words today, I said the shocking part about surrender. He also said that America controls the skies over Tehran. America, control the skies. That was a staggering statement to me too, because we've not been the one running the bombing runs over Iran, although we have helped. There's no doubt, I believe we have helped with, our reports already out there. Even the legacy media is reporting that we've been helping knock down missiles and give intelligence jamming signals, all those. We knew what was going on anyway. But for him to say that, was that misplaced words? Or are we now the lead in the operation? America controls the skies over Tehran. That's a credible statement. So again, and yes, thank you for that, because I always say that we can all agree we don't want war. I don't. And you got these people like Lindsey Graham out there. Oh, let's go to war. Yeah. It just makes me sick. I mean, he was over there in the war room with Zelensky when they were hitting the planes on the ground in Russia. But people forget really quickly how bad war is. And I don't want to see the body bags coming back home. And again, I don't want a nuclear weapon dropped on my country either. But some will say that's not the threat, that they can't do that. I don't know, because I don't know that I believe them. And when I say I don't believe them, I just don't know that I believe them, because not one freaking soul from any intelligence, any general, any president, anybody has said how long before they have the weapon. Now we're hearing they got it. Before it was like, they're getting closer. They're getting closer. They're getting close. Now we got retired generals go, oh, they've got enough for weapons right now. They got enough. It's just not full strength. Well, which is it? Was the bomb? They have enough for the bomb that Bibi Netanyahu drew on the board when he stood in front of Congress and said 6 months. They'll have it. A few years ago, several years ago now, they got a bomb, but it's not it's not 100%. It's 20%. Well, they got enough one for 60%. And see, it's always changing, and that's the kind of thing that I struggle with tonight. I hear you, and it's a little alarming. I mean, and I've watched podcasters that go through this, and it's hard to even because you're conflicted. You have everybody's got an opinion here, and some podcasters I know they're like, I don't like the government of Israel, but I support the people. But the others that say I support fully. I got friends. I fully support the Palestinians. I don't care for Israel. They're this. They're, why are we in neck deep like this? And some would say, well, we got to stop them. They got this bomb, and we got to stop them. And what flipped the switch? I mean, again, Israel. It seems like Israel's put us there, where we were hands off to now we're taking the lead. I mean, when he said America owns the skies over Tehran, what the heck you mean America controls the skies? We can control the skies anywhere we need to. I got no problem with that. But in an ongoing operation that we supposedly haven't been done any of the bombing, we America control the skies. Were we at war the whole time? We just let Israel do the dirty work. What the heck? What is it? And that's the question tonight. Keep bringing the comments. I appreciate it. Listen, it's like our vet night. Jake came up with the Rumble rant. I kind of like that too. It's Rumble only on Thursday nights at 9 p.m. from 9 to 10. Our vet we just came up with. This is like a extended time of that vent. I don't care. I would like to hear your comments. I just want to get on and talk about it. I didn't have any prescribed thoughts. I just read some news, and this is just me and my feelings about it, and I'd like to hear yours. Hacking alone could destroy this country. Many countries could hack our infrastructure and comms in the next week. We aren't attacking them. Truth. The North Koreans, matter of fact, have made multiple threats to the United States and are way down the line further than Iran. Way down the line. That was all the talk. That was all the rage. We don't even hear much about it anymore. Their only problem was at one point they didn't have the delivery system that Iran has. I will say that now, but that's supposedly improved. But then they had a bad firing here recently, so there's questions about that. But if they got the bomb, all they got to do is get over the border and hit South Korea or across the sea there and hit Japan. Those are always threats, and you don't hear much about it anymore. You hear more about North Koreans fighting with Russia against Ukraine than you do about the bomb. So, again, Americans, ask these tough questions. I have no problem with it. I think any administration should be asked the tough questions, even one that I have voted for and I have supported. At the same time, you gotta have to be a voice of reason and say, hey, wait a minute, this is something not adding up here. And that's where I am tonight. Threats are always out there. Truth, we get threats every day from around the world. It's always going on. Some silly weapon that may or may not exist that they have been talking about for decades isn't a reason to go to war. Thank you for the comment. And that's a very good comment. Very good. Now, I was talking to Rob today, and this is not a throw at Rob, so don't take it the wrong way. I talked to him earlier today. We talked about this, and Rob's opinion was, well, if they have the bomb, we got to stop it. We got to do it. Let's go do it. Game on. So I said, well, we'll talk about it tomorrow. We didn't have an argument about it or nothing. I said, well, I'm just pointing out the obvious. And he said, well, that's the deal. Yeah, we'll talk about it. He'd been busy too. He'd been trying to catch up on some news. And we were both, like, wow, this is pretty incredible. But that's kind of where we were at with it. And you're gonna have people on all sides of it. People are going to say, go knock there are people right now that are saying, make Iran dust, sand again. Nothing there, especially Tehran. I mean, there are people that are saying that. You got others that are saying, get the heck out and get out now. Stop. Just stop. To others that would say, well, support Israel in this, but don't take a lead in it. Let them do it. Support them in it. If you want to screen a little bit for them, and that's fine. People ain't going to say too much about that. But if you full on start taking a military lead, that's going to change the dynamic. If you take the military lead, when I'm hearing B-52s are being readied, refueling planes, ships are being moved closer into the region, that don't sound like a screening. That don't sound like they're for defensive purposes. That sounds like game on to me. That sounds like it's go time. So I expect between the president's words, his actions, resources that are coming out, uh, that alone tells me, and I believe it tells all of you, that we're going to be in a big military operation here pretty quick, pretty dang quick. And that it is alarming to me. It's freaking alarming to me. And it's like wow. It's like you tell your friend like, hey, we need to calm down here. This is not a good idea. Just call, sometimes you got to be the calm person in the room. You calm your friend down. It's always good to take your a calming friend when you go into negotiations with your enemy, right? And that's where we're at. And I get it. The IAEA, said that there were areas they restricted from. They were not able to verify that they didn't have the bomb, and so that they had been lying, and the Iranians have done that before. But again, nobody felt like they were that close that we couldn't continue negotiations, including the president. He said, "We let's continue, let's talk." Now it's too late. What the heck? Do we have is there a weapon or not? You go from let's talk to 2 days later, not even a full 2 days. Oh, it's too late. What the heck? That's just, I don't know. I just find that amazing that the language that's being used, and this is what we know. This is what's being said openly to the press, from his own lips to the press and to the world. It's what? I feel like the president needs to go on from the Oval Office and have some discussion here about, my fellow Americans. That's where I feel like we are. I wish he was on right now. I'd like to know a little bit more about, and are we going to give the Iranians a chance to back down, or because he's talking surrender? Well, what in the world is going to make them surrender other than we just bomb the crap out of their city? They're not going to do that. So you're saying if they don't say surrender, we just go ahead and start launching? I don't know. It's crazy to me. I just think it's crazy. America isn't on top anymore. It's a hard fact for people to accept, but it's been this way for some time. We aren't calling the shots. Well, I will say that's a great comment to this point. You remember the Europeans, the British, the French, and others, when the president was not, full on wanting to support Ukraine anymore and stopped actually the flow of weapons for a bit, which showed that, they're on life support, because without it, they were losing ground by the minute. The Europeans said, "Oh, we don't. If America wants to be that way, basically, I'm paraphrasing, we'll take the lead. We'll take the lead. If they, we'll be the new ones. Basically, we're the new kids on the block. We're the ones we're going to take the lead. It's Europe. It's our background. It's our backyard. We're going to take the lead. Let the Americans run over there and basically kind of called us out a little bit. So and to that point, we have let our military, on purpose, that we have downsized that military, although it's still very lethal. We have downsized that in lots of ways over the last 20 years at least, where surface ships are not as much as China now. And I think that the Chinese just announced they're launching carrier number 3. They're catching up. We still outnumber them. I think it's 7-3 now. It sounds like I'm going back to, I feel like I'm in the war room in World War II with General Nimitz and them, and the Halsey and all them, and they're talking about Midway. I mean, it's where's that carrier group? Crazy. But yeah, the recruitment has been bad. We know why. Pete Hegseth has been trying to turn that around. The numbers have gotten better, but it takes time. It takes time to develop men. It takes time to train anybody, especially to support your military operations. And so they're greenhorns. It takes a while to replace true talent. And because of the my way of saying for the time that we made, shots and whatever, there was a lot of, we know what happened to a lot of the military men. They were highly decorated military people that were forced out. Highly. We know the president has asked them to come back, and a restoration of all that. I don't know how many took him up on it, but they were multi-decorated soldiers that had been in wars for America that left the military, either by choice or were forced out because of refusal. So that did damage. I mean, anytime you lose that kind of experience and you're not replacing it with the same kind of abilities and skills, it's going to leave a mark, and it definitely has left a mark on our military. So even though the numbers are getting better, let's face it, it's going to take time. It takes time to build stuff. It takes time to get to the next level, electronics, avionics, and whatever else you're talking about. It takes time. It takes a lot of time. And for all the talk about the Golden Dome, it's not built yet. It's not built. And if you put all these pieces together, it really starts becoming clear that this was why Greenland was being talked about. It's still being talked about. Are we just going to land there while we're at it? Are we going into operations to land some B-52s in Greenland? I'm just asking, because right now it seems like everything's on the table. I'm curious. I want to see what happens tomorrow, what the language is, which is almost today. Sounds like a Kamala Harris, right? Today is tomorrow, but tomorrow is today. I'll leave it alone. It's one of my favorite things to go on about. But things are ramping up very, very quickly. It'll take a little time to get all these resources in place, but not that long. They had already moved resources into the region when they hit the Houthis. And let me say this. Since we're where we're at, was hitting the Houthis a screen for all of this? The Houthis weren't that powerful. They were a bothersome little bunch of terrorists. Their abilities were not great. It really makes me wonder right now where the Houthis were the hit on that and getting all the resources into the region. Was that the screen to get ready for this? It really makes me wonder, because we were amping up more interest, more things into the region because the Houthis fired one final volley towards Israel, which was shot down. It didn't even get close. What happened there? And was that just was that just a screen, an excuse for us to go, well, you know what? We're going to have to take care of them Houthis some more. And there are people are talking today, military people talking about, could the Iranians or others possibly mine the Strait of Hormuz? That talk about if for some reason militarily those supply ships couldn't get in and out of there. Imagine what happens to your energy process. Imagine. And a lot of ways to hurt America. A lot of ways to make it tougher for everyday Joe America. A lot of ways. And I'm just saying, the speculators will speculate. Energy prices are going to shoot up. I hope not, but it's usually what happens. And just face it, military operations are used to advance domestic agenda. Truth. So watch all of these different plates they're spinning and see what we can tie together. Because I think it's a fair question. And it just seemed to me, and listen, I've been criticized by people that are close to me, even because I said in the beginning, and I've said it offline. I've said it to my family, more so offline than online. I've said it a little bit online. I'm not making up things now. I'm not patting myself on the back. But when things were running very quickly with Doge and everything, and they were moving, and you don't hear as much about that now. There's still things happening. It's not in the news like it was. Along the same time that all of that was going on, Pete Hegseth was moving at lightning speed to get things moving forward for the military. A little, and I was like, at the speed he was moving, at the language they were using, at things they were saying, and I said it at the time. I said, has there been a credible threat that scared them half to death? Because they were moving at record speed militarily. Even from the president saying we were going to become the shipbuilding capital of the world, again. And he wasn't talking about Carnival Cruise Lines, folks. There's just a lot of things that kind of you piece together from, Panama Canal, Greenland, a lot of things. And now look where we're at tonight. I think it's a fair assessment. I think it's a fair questioning. There's things we obviously don't know, and we're just going to have to wait. Yes, stay tuned. Same bat time, same bat channel. I'm like anybody else. But what I do is analytical way of thinking is just what pieces fit together. Watch the actions, the body language. Yes, read between the lines. Not so much sometimes what they say, but how they say it. But also when they do tell you something big like surrender or America controls the skies over Tehran, those things you better listen to, because that's just straight out telling you and telling the world where they're at right now. I'd love to be a fly on the wall. I can say that. But it is concerning. It is concerning. Hey, folks, and thanks for the follow that we gave follow on Rumble. Thank you for all across all the streams, all the followers. We're just a little over a year old. Tomorrow even, we're trying to put together the deal for our coffee we're going to be shipping. It'll take a few days it'll be in place, but we'll have a few days to hammer out the logos and the artwork and stuff. But we got a lot of things we're doing here behind the scenes. We're trying to create a lot of programs, a massive lot of programs. We stay hard at it. We enjoy it. And we thank you that you give us some of your precious time. It is precious. Time is precious. It's time you've given us, and you can't get that back. And it means a lot to us. It means a lot to both of us. We were humbled. We're absolutely humbled by that. From two guys that nobody even knew who they were, to now a lot of people recognize us and and kind of put us in the same same level. Even though I know we're not present, but they recognize that we're trying to do some things. And we like to cut up and go on, but we know when to be serious, and we know when to talk these kinds of issues. And again, to just to hear people's opinions. We've always said, let people tell their story. Thank you. Listen to a few cybersecurity podcasts. Yeah, absolutely. CyberWire Daily, Firewalls Don't Stop Dragging Hacking Humans. Yes, thank you. I love that kind of stuff. Always loved it. I absolutely have. And I will say this: going back, and I hate to go back. And again, I will say this: I really do got to get off here. I got to be on. I'm going to be on by 5 or 5:30 in the morning, so hours ain't going to be a lot tonight. But I'm used to that. I've said this before. For those that haven't heard it, it's the short story, the short version. To this point, and I say this because you mentioned that. I was really at one time. I wasn't doing a podcast at the time, but I've always been a big reader, and I've really listened to a lot of different kinds of folks from different backgrounds. And I was really intense, more so any time in my life at that time. This goes back right before 9/11. And this is, my God knows this is the truth, that there were so many things that popped up. They were little things that seemed insignificant in some ways and didn't seem connected, but had to be connected to being very significant when you take them as a whole. The totality of them were alarming. And the trigger for me, and I don't know why it was, because it's not like racism has happened or anti-Semitism, but right before 9/11 hit, people don't really remember this, or I'm not saying nobody does, but you didn't hear it talked about, was the supposed racism conference in Durban, South Africa. Just 2 weeks, probably, maybe. I could be off, give or take a few days here and there, in South Africa, right before 9/11. And they had a Holocaust survivor there was to speak. The Americans and Israelis were there. And I know everybody has their things about 9/11 too, so I'm not going that, but I just want to go to this point. Sometimes your gut just tells you something's up. And something triggered in me, and I said, there's something big fixing to happen. And I mean big. And I went to my pastor at the time, and I had a private conversation with him. I said, hey, he said, you seem troubled. I said, I am. I said, you may think I'm crazy. I can't explain it. I can give you certain facts, but I don't know everything. But I said, I'm telling you, in my spirit, my gut tells me something big, and I mean big, is fixing to happen. And I really thought at the time, which there was an attack sent to Israel. They tried to do the same thing to their towers over there, but they foiled it. I thought it was Israel. I thought they were a spotlight. I didn't think that we were. And 2 weeks later, around about that, when it happened, my pastor tracked me down on my job before we even knew where all the damage. We didn't even know about the Pentagon yet. We didn't know about Flight 93. We didn't know about none of that. It's just the towers being hit. And we knew it was terrorism. My pastor tracks me down on my job, which wasn't easy back then. We didn't have cell phones. I didn't have a cell phone at the time. And on my job, the phone wouldn't ring directly in. He had to call the main office, have it transferred. I don't know what he told him to get it done. I mean, he must have told him I'm his pastor and it's an emergency. And when I got on the phone, I'll never forget his words. He said, how did you know? And I said, I didn't know this. And he said, I'm going to the church and I'm just going to open it up for prayer. This is before we knew how far this thing was going to go. And I'm not saying I feel that right now, but I sure am keyed up. And my gut tells me there's a wider, something really major and wider going on here than just Iran having a bomb, a potential bomb, a possible bomb, a maybe bomb. It's big. That's what I feel tonight. That's Dave and the AM's take on it. I wanted to come on and say that. I wanted to hear from you. Thanks for everybody listening. Thanks for everybody taking the time to chat. I appreciate it. I'm not one of those that gets offended if you disagree with me or if you, as long as you're nice about it. I don't like being called an idiot too much, but I like to dialogue. I like to, because we do have different opinions about stuff. And I'm willing to adjust my opinion if I think there's reason to. So tonight, I just felt like I want to come on. I told my wife I got back. I said, I'm going online. Hello, Jake. I said, there's going to be some folks out there, and I just know it. And my gut told me get online, even though my body was saying, go to bed, you knucklehead. I'm a night owl anyway, but lots to get done tomorrow. It's going to be a full day. Lots going on in my life, but lots going on. And that's not a complaint. I'm excited about it. We will check in very early. Yes, very early in the morning. The Cornbread Man Morning Show is audio only, MP3 on Podbean live, and then it goes out to all the other live streams, with the exception of, well, there's a couple of them I have to load up to individually. Then at 6 a.m. in the morning, the SFP morning show, me and Rob together. And then tomorrow night is Hump Day Views. I always want to say news still, Views, and the event. And I wouldn't be surprised if another show pops up in the afternoon. Of course, we'll do our MAGA report every day, or try to. Been a long day. I've took part in my civic duty to take part in elections and met with great people, and even talked to a guy that had thought about being a politician. He had 2 major heart procedures that kept him from doing it, but he still wants to. And I like that kind of can-do spirit. I said, get out there and do it, man. Do it. If that's what you're feeling, you should do it. We need good people to stand up and step up and run for office. We certainly got some that need to go. Everybody have a great night. We will be on early. If you see us then, or see us, as they said in the Delta Force, see you when we see you, boss, or however he said that. That's the way I see it. We're going to put on a little more aggressive music for this going out. It's my fave. I love this song. I can listen to it over and over, and I do many times. It gets me fired up. It's when I do a morning show on the Tuesdays and Thursdays. This is my song. Hey, y'all have a great night. God bless. Pray for America tonight, and pray that peace will reign. See you soon.